What's up, everybody? Welcome to Smash Course. We're back after winter break. It's been a couple weeks that we haven't been airing the show, but here we are. This is episode 10. It's just me and Joe from the main cast, but tonight we've got D1 from Twitch. Welcome, dude. Been a while.
Hello, guys. Thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, no problem. So we're just going to talk about, some of the recent rumblings in the Smash scene, catch you up on everything that's been happening over the past couple weeks that we missed, particularly Genesis and Evo Japan, because that was the last 2 weekends of Smash, and some serious happenings have been going down. So I guess we'll kick it off with the most noteworthy news, I'd say, across Smash in quite some time, and that's that PSM Zero has announced his temporary hiatus or retirement from Smash 4. He's been doing a bunch of other stuff. He's still streaming. He's still playing for fun, but he's not going to tournaments for a while, and he didn't go to Genesis. So what do you guys think about that and its implications on the game? Like, who's going to rise up to be next? Tell me what you guys got.
Well, honestly, I think, this is really good for the game because there are a lot of people out there that, from the outside looking in, whenever I tell them to check out a Smash 4 tournament, they usually retort with, well, isn't Zero going to win anyway? Like, he's the guy who won like 50-plus tournaments consecutively. And then I would tell them, like, well, I believe that this would make things more fun to watch because once somebody knocks him off the throne, you're going to be, unexpectedly, it's going to make it even more fun. It will create more compelling storylines. But some people felt like that just would never happen, even though, yes, it started to the moment we started seeing more nerfs. And Zero did actually go on a hiatus before, around the time where you saw Badango get first place at Pound, but with Mewtwo. Regardless, a lot of players are now motivated to become the next Zero. I talked to Void and many other players at the PAX South Invitational that happened this year and in January. And they all told me that, hey, looking at the fact that Zero isn't here anymore competing, we should just use this as like a fire that's lit under us to be even better, to be, because the throne basically is empty now. It's up for grabs, and it would be stupid if anybody decided to become complacent and act like, oh, well, Zero's not here, there's nothing worth fighting for. No, the number one spot is empty. Somebody has to go grab it. And I feel like a lot of people that probably were gate-kept by Zero are going to do way better. So I think Smash 4 is definitely going to be really interesting looking at this for the fifth season of this year. Fifth season period, since we just had the fourth ranking in the PGR.
Yeah, and I think on the flip side too, it's also just, good for Zero, like if the passion isn't there, like by all means take that break. Like the last thing you want to see is like someone that just feels burnt out from events, just, trying to chug through brackets and not really having that spark to compete. Because right now he's really, honestly, the face of Smash 4. And if, the person that's at the top isn't feeling the game at the moment, isn't really feeling competition, and just wants to take a step back, I think everyone's in his corner in that regard. Like, get, your social media game up, your content creation game up. Like, he's not going anywhere from the community. He's still going to be very active in the avenues that he's choosing to pursue. But putting, competing on the back burner for now, I think it's a really good call. Leaves the, like you said, leaves the window open for anyone to go through right now that wants to claim that number one spot. And I also think it's going to be cool to see Zero come into events as a commentator, content creator, just a general personality, because his insight and analysis into the game is incredible. Like I tune into some of his streams where he's doing some analysis, and it's like, who better to hear talk about the game than from the number one in the world? So I think having him come out to events as a commentator is also going to be something that keeps things fresh.
Yeah, I truly agree with you there. And, seeing how Zero had a lot of complaints in his experience as a number one top player, attending events, it is good to see him actually like take a breather, the people who are probably most likely to take that number one spot right now are looking like Leo, Salem, Nairo. Those are my top three faves. Tweet could probably do it as well, seeing how he has so many amazing counter picks under his belt that can actually beat all the other guys that I mentioned. But Leo, Salem, and Nairo are 100% like my top 3 faves. And after seeing like the streak that MKLeo is having right now, who knows what will happen. I honestly wouldn't be mad. I love you, Nairo, love you a lot, but I wouldn't be mad if MKLeo was the number 1 player, because he is just so entertaining to watch. Not saying that Nairo isn't entertaining to watch. He is really entertaining to watch, but I guess I'm probably more of a fan of the characters that Leo plays. Like, this is just me being subjective. I love Nairo. If Nairo's I would say I'm closer to Nairo as a friend. So as a friend, it would be awesome to see Nairo take first place. But as a fan of someone's style of play, when I look at MKLeo, his Marth, his Cloud, his Meta Knight, I don't know what it is, but like, I guess his super aggressive style of play that tends to work out well for him. I just love how accurate he is with all his confirms, his kill setups. And there are times where I'll see him go for something that I don't think will actually work, and it will work. And that stuff makes me go absolutely nuts, to the point where it's like, wow, if Zero were gone and he were to take his Zero's place, I don't think anybody would be mad. I never hear anyone complain when they watch MKLeo play, So
yeah, and I mean, I have to totally back Zero on his decision too. Like, if you're gonna retire, I posed this question on Twitter, like, what would it take for you to retire happy? And a bunch of people said number 1 for 4 seasons in a row. I can't help but agree. My man had the longest streak in esports ever for first places. It's not like he was scared of being usurped or something. He was clearly the best player. Even after losing to Leo at the championship, it was like, all right, whatever. I'm still the best. You got your win. It's like, what, 12-2 for the year. So yeah, Zero really, he put his foot down. He was seriously the man of the hour, every tournament. And it's lonely at the top. So I can't blame him for taking a break. He said a couple things might bring him back, like Smash 5 or Smash for the Switch in some capacity. That would be absolutely amazing to see that come out soon and bring him back. But for now, I mean, he's playing Dissidia. He's playing even still Poor Glory. It looks like he's having a good time. He doesn't seem to be too phased. There was some doubt back when he stopped playing in 2016 for a couple months, because of the finger injury. It's like, oh, is he scared of Bayonetta? And then he came back and was like, nah, chill. Yeah. Even though I'm going to like drop a couple sets immediately upon coming back, I'm still the best. Like, don't get it twisted. So I really have to give him like all the props in the world for that. The one lingering question, I think, is, does Zero retiring cheapen the wins of the future champion? So, say it is MKLeo or Salem Nairo Tweak. Those are my picks as well. If one of them is to establish themselves firmly as number 1 in the PGR, or even like by a hair over number 2, what does that really mean if Zero's not on it, right? I mean, I guess he could be number 0 on the PGR. You've seen it on regional rankings before. But I don't know. I think it's still a very noteworthy title to be the best player in the world, even in the absence of Zero. So it doesn't really take too much away, but it does kind of leave that question. And, eventually he's going to come back and he's going to get to defend his title, which I think is going to really like bring things full circle and make it really cool. So I'm fine with this. Like, I see nothing wrong with it. I mean, we know he's not scared. I think that's the most important thing. Like, no one's thinking he just won like 5 tournaments in a row. He's like, all right, peace. I'm out of here. It's like, no, this man was on top for 3.5 years. So yeah, maybe he'll come back sooner than we expect. Who knows? But let's just real quick talk about what did happen in his absence at Genesis. MKLeo definitely took home the repeat title quite firmly. His closest set was against DeBuzz. He won the tournament, didn't drop a set, but I think the real story was Pluck. What do you guys think? I'll let you talk about it first. Like, Pluck winning this tournament, Armada and Mango, the fated grand finals didn't even happen. They got only 4th and 5th. Pluck looking ridiculous against Armada, by the way, and still quite solid against H-Box. Now that his Fox is looking pretty legit, he's got hours under his belt. What do you guys think?
Honestly, I think this is very, very healthy for Melee, because of the fact that a lot of people at first were salty. Well, I wouldn't say salty, but a lot of people who are Melee fans definitely grew tired of seeing Armada win a lot. It was almost like the same case with Zero, right? Where they just saw like a consistent player. It's like, yes, we have a lot of respect for you for being the consistent number 1 player, but for some spectators, they grew tired of that. And having somebody who's finally like rising up and showing that they can, other than Hungrybox, that can actually beat Armada, I think it's really cool for the scene. I respect Hungrybox a lot. Shout out to him getting first place. But Plouffe coming through as a player who a lot of people did say that he has a lot of talent. And if he were to be number one, they wouldn't even be mad, dude. They would be totally fine with this guy being the number one player, and seeing just how.
Quick aside, I think he's kind of like the MKLeo of Melee, especially the way he plays, very optimized, kind of movement-based player. And
I like that.
Nobody would be mad if he was number one, man.
100%, dude. Like, he's definitely a lovable player and a guy who knows how to play many characters. Like, we've seen him beat the likes of Leffen back then with Samus numerous times, and then he decided to switch over to Sheik and found success against many great players with his Sheik. Then out of nowhere, he even busts out the Fox, which when I saw his Fox at first, I was very wary. I was like, I don't even think this Fox is even good, though, but I won't say anything. And as time progressed, we just started seeing him take names to the point where he was actually able to get that W over Hungrybox at Genesis 5. That's huge, man, because remember the first set? It almost looked like a speed run. I don't know if you guys saw, I'm definitely not trying to put down Crush or anything, but when Crush played Hungrybox at Too Hot to Handle, that was such a fast grand final, and I thought we were going to get the same result there, but Pluck just like picked up the pieces, man, and he was actually able to get that W. I have to say that Genesis top 8 was the beginning of maybe something new for Melee. We saw the gods winning for such a long time. They were so dominant to the point where some people thought, man, is it only going to be like Leffen that could actually take it to these guys? But to see the fact that Pluck, another person who we can actually give the title God Slayer to, like it makes things way more interesting. Like, I'd rather that than a narrative where there's somebody who's just throwing dirt on someone's name because they have some sort of, I don't know, some sort of animosity towards them, and the only way that they can actually, I don't know. I just don't like the drama between Leffen and HBox. Well, we'll just keep it 100.
Yeah, dude. You can drop the veneers, man. Whatever. Keep it real.
Keep it real. Yeah, I'm really happy to see Pluck just breathe some nice positive light into the Melee scene. He's a great player who I feel is kind of low key. If you look at Pluck, he doesn't really feel like, to me, he talks much. Like, he does stream. I don't really see him that much on social media either, even though I follow him. But whenever you see him like play, he does make big statements. That's where I feel like people really know Pluck. Like, not that much as a content creator, not that much as a person on social, like as a personality on social media. Instead, I feel like he's probably spends more time refining his play and getting ready for the next event. At least that's what it looks like. And it speaks volumes whenever you see him enter a tournament. So I know his run at Genesis was great. A lot of people were probably sad that they didn't get to see Mango versus Armada, but seeing Pluck win is an even better thing to see for Melee, because if it was a Mango versus Armada grand finals, more than likely, not to crap on Mango, but more than likely Armada probably might have taken it to the point where people would probably get bored of the Mango versus Armada grand final. I know a lot of people don't like change, right? You know how it is. We use social media platforms all the time. And every time these designers will change how these things work, how they look and whatnot. And there will always be posts littering our timelines where people are like, I hate this. I wish it was the way it was back then. But you know what? After a while, people do get used to it. And I think as far as Plouffe is concerned, being the number one player, if that happens, I don't think anyone will have qualms. Like, it will actually be a beautiful thing for the game. And it will force a lot of these gods to step it up. Right? They can't fall back on the same old flowcharts that work. And I remember Leffen called out some of the gods back then when he was on his way to becoming the God Slayer. This was the Leffen that I love the most, where he was like, yeah, a lot of these top players, they have flowcharts, and he was going to like expose them. And he did. Right? And, Plouffe showing these guys that they're going to have to work harder. And even though these guys may have the title as gods now, Plouffe shows us that more than one person can draw blood from them. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think is just so interesting how many of the things that apply to him apply directly to MKLeo, and they both won this event. I know I just said it before, man, but like, you know, the multiple characters, even the being quiet and not so much a content creator, just like focusing on the game and doing really well at it, staying relatively drama free, I'd say.
Yep.
Very interesting parallels. And also, I mean, let's talk about Armada for a second. You know, he was so universally accepted to be the best player in the world. And all of a sudden, like, one, he gets outranked by HBox for the later half of 2017, and now he's just, like, he got 4th place, and he lost to Leppin, someone from his own country that he has all the experience in the world against. You know, what's good with that? Like, I feel like HBox's time as number 1 is not over. I feel like Pluck definitely has a long way to go, and plus he gets to play HBox all the time at home in Central Florida.
Yeah.
But, yeah, like, so what do you think the future for Armada is looking like?
I think Armada is still going to be around. He's still going to be that guy that people will have to show respect to. As far as him versus Leffen is concerned, it's definitely a toss-up, right? Like, Leffen is a very capable player. When he was, when there was a point in time that he was getting really good in Melee, Armada and him actually did a lot of practice. And this is one of the reasons why Armada can't really play Peach against Leffen, because when he was helping Leffen train, Leffen got a lot of experience in the Peach matchup against him, to the point where Armada does not feel comfortable going Peach against Leffen. You know, he feels like he can only take it to him using Fox, understanding that Fox has the most amount of options against his style of Fox in particular. But I still think we're going to see the Peach. I think his Peach is very good at beating a lot of the other players, and I think he could probably beat Leffen as well. But if he in his mind does not feel comfortable going Peach against Leffen, then nobody else can tell him, you know, like he will stick to the Fox against Leffen. So what's going to have to happen is, you know, he's probably going to look back and see exactly what it is that led to him dropping against the players that he dropped against at Genesis, you know. 3-0. That's huge, though. A 3-0 loss in the winner's semifinal immediately, like the moment your first match on stage in front of hella people in the Paramount Theater, right? And then the moment you get up, you already leave with your head down. 3-0 loss to Pluck. Like, I know that was definitely a really humbling experience. But then afterwards, he like 3-0 lucky. Then when he went up against Leffen, like that 3-1 loss, like that was rough. Like, seeing him lose to Leffen. What if he did beat Leffen? He probably might have lost to HBox if he wasn't playing that hot. But honestly, like, a lot of the other players, I think, were just playing better, or they just played better than him, you know. And I think that's what the game is starting to come to, where everyone is really good thanks to all the resources they have. All right, like net play, you have so many videos. People are learning things at such a quicker pace. People are making sure to fix their controllers in a way where they're able to do shield drops more consistently, right? And all that other stuff. Now that everyone is finding ways to punish things more efficiently, it's not easy being at the top anymore. You know, the playing field has leveled out. So I think Armada can do it, but he's gonna have to work a lot harder. That's all I have to say on the matter.
Joe, any thoughts about Armada and other Genesis Melee stuff?
So the thought that crossed my mind is the fact that, you know, that he's stuck in Europe without, you know, top level practices. That's starting to catch up to him. Like, his work ethic has always been what's been keeping him at the top for so long. But now I'm just wondering, you know, are people just catching up to him? Do they have better players to play against? Do they have more opportunities to compete at a top level? And is that having a factor in all this? But honestly, I think this was a long time coming for Plouffe. Like, even at Big House, he got all the way to grand finals, and then all that momentum was taken away by HBox. But he still looked like, you know, this guy's a strong contender for being, you know, top in the world. And we talked about that on previous shows. So I think, you know, this is the perfect spot for Melee. And on singles, you know, there was a huge upset. Doubles, there was a huge upset. So across the board, the game's being shaken up. And I think it's like it's the perfect way to start off 2018 moving forward.
Yeah. All right, cool. So now the other major happening post-Genesis, of course, just this past weekend, was Evo Japan. I know a lot of us didn't go out to it because, you know, it's pretty expensive to go to Japan. So Joe and I weren't there, but D1, you were. So we'd love to hear, like, so much about it, dude. Like, just tell me, like, you know, Japanese culture, what their scene is like, everything. And just to quickly recap it, of course, it's a huge happening in the FGC. I know the Evo team has wanted to take their event to Japan for a long time. And Smash 4, only top 8 was streamed on Twitch, but it was still hype. It was really good. Just watching all these top players that you don't get to see every day, every event, going up against each other. Only one North American that's not even from the US in top 8 was definitely very interesting. Kind of humbled us, I'd say. The US players, we definitely got bodied. Japanese Smash 4, we know how deep that talent pool runs. And Leo took first place, the second in a row. I mean, I don't want to downplay like how hyped Leo's run in Genesis was either. I feel like, you know, Pluck was like the golden story, but let's not overlook MKLeo really starting to cement himself as the best player, I'd say, in Zero's absence. At least he's proven it more so than the others have, but he also had Evo Japan as an opportunity, whereas the rest of them didn't. So, yeah, I mean, he dodged Ken in the bracket, which was kind of a lucky break. Ken has beaten Leo before and at least proven to be a difficult opponent for him. But he was able to defeat Abba in winners and grand finals. He's so good against Bayonetta. What is good with that?
I mean, Leo did beat Ken, not to cut you off. He did beat Ken at the Umebura Japan Major with Meta Knight, right?
Yes,
Meta Knight, yeah.
Yep, they've beaten each other back and forth, though. He beat him at Leo Saga, too. So, yeah, it's a really good head-to-head. I think they have great matches. So I think Ken was definitely the biggest threat to Leo at the tournament. And unfortunately, he didn't get to meet him in bracket, but still. I mean, especially the fact that he's destroying Bayonettas for free, right? Like, he beat Mistake really badly at Genesis. He beat Salem, too. And then he beat Albadongo's Bayo. So he looks like the master of that matchup right now. We're all complaining about this character. I mean, who really knows how to fight her that well? Aside from Leo, I guess. So, yeah, we saw other top Japanese players, like the Zero Suit player. I believe it's not pronounced Shaky, but it looks like Shaky without the A.
Shiki.
So do you want Shiki? Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, I said that, and like when it cut off. So rip that. Yeah, so Shiki and Choco showed up big, and then Kameme and Nietono showed they still got it. They're still very strong players. So, yeah, D1, I mean, let's get that insider perspective. How was this event, and how was Japan?
Let's see. So going into Japan, first and foremost, we actually got hit with the coldest weather that they've had in 40 years. So if you did not come through bundled up with like some kind of heat tech from Uniqlo or whatever, you were done. Like, unfortunately for me, I had a pea coat that I got actually at a sample sale in New York City for J. Crew. Haven't worn that in a long time living here in Southern California, but I was finally able to rock that over there. And I mean, overall, the venue was pretty interesting. It was connected to the hotels in similar fashion to Genesis. We were at the Sunshine City Prince Hotel in Ikebukuro. And Ikebukuro is actually one of my favorite spots to be in. They have the Pokemon Mega Tokyo store there. They have this massive Sunshine City mall that has like J-World, where if you're an enthusiast of like One Piece, Naruto, and all those other like shonen animes, you get to actually go in there and check out a lot of cool stuff. Like they sell like a lot of merch, and there's just cool things to check out. Like it's like exhibits and stuff. You know, think about a museum with all your favorite animes, but you could actually do like interactive stuff in there. In any event, the place is dope. The food is amazing. But going back to Evo Japan, they had so many different events there, right? They had like King of Fighters, they had ARMS, they had Street Fighter V, BlazBlue, Guilty Gear, and you know, the list goes on. But one thing that made me really happy when I was there was that they had like a lot of setups for actually new and upcoming games. Soul Calibur 6, me coming from the Soul Calibur scene, it was it brought the biggest smile off my face when I walked past the Soul Calibur 6 kiosk. Didn't even know it was there. I walked past it. I saw Killick on the character select screen. I was like, oh my God. Okay, so how do I get in line? Like, I have to play right now. Because Killick was my first ever like competitive character that I picked up in any fighter. You know, like I've played fighting games before, but I just mashed my way hoping to eke out some sort of a victory against my opponents. But once I actually studied frame data and understood what fighting games were about, Soul Calibur was the game that actually got me into that. It taught me what frame data was, taught me about the competitive scene and all that kind of stuff. So it brought me a lot of joy to actually be able to experience that. As far as like the Smash side of things is concerned, it was really dope to see how NorCal actually came through heavy for this event. Even though we didn't really get to see them in top 8, I was really happy to see the likes of Exax, Legit, a G-Pick, so many NorCal players were actually, they all decided to come out en masse for this event. So shout outs to them, the Florida boys, MVD and ESM, like you mentioned before. It was really dope to see them accompanying Vaseth on his voyage back to Japan. So there's a lot of cool footage that Vaseth got to record with his friend Buddha. So keep on the lookout for that, so you can see like firsthand their experiences in Japan. But yeah, the event, I have to say, the event was really fun. It made me sad that they didn't have matches outside of the top 8 on Twitch. And I guess it was because they must have had to deal with OpenRec TV. In any event, yeah, like you said before, US, it was definitely a wake-up call to the US when I saw like what happened to us there. It's scary when you look at the Japanese events. A lot of the guys in Japan play characters that we would not deem top tier at a high level. So because of this, there are times where we may get caught off guard playing someone who has great mastery of a character who we may think is low tier or mid tier, right? The unknown factor might come into play when it comes to this, or we should just possibly just give it up to the players for being so solid. Like at the end of the day, yes, a character may not have all the options, but if you made the right decisions in battle, regardless of how good your opponent's character is, you will be able to get that, that win. And at the end of the day, that's what happened. But I'm really proud of Shiki. I have to say, like, seeing AC from SoCal, AC came through. We saw Strides as well. A lot of California reps overall. One of the matches that I got to catch was Shiki, and Shiki's comeback factor was stupid. Like, that's Zero Suit Samus for you, right? When you watch the character, there might be times where you'll think a player might be able to get that W, but if the platforms are lined up just right, it almost sounds like I'm saying if the stars are aligned right. If the platforms are lined up properly, all you need is a couple up airs, and that Zero Suit is taking you off the top. It's absolutely nuts. So I have a lot of respect for Shiki. Suck not to see him get as far in the top 8, but at least he got to top 8. Like I feel like that's respectable enough. Going into the top 8 though, Ken dropping early. Can we talk about that? Like 5th? The entire time I was watching the top 8, I was like, Ken's definitely gonna make the grand finals of this event. Number 1 in Japan, but I guess Ken dropping so early shows how hard it is to actually be on top in this game, especially in Japan. It's any man's game. Like we've seen sometimes where like a Shulk would get first place randomly in Japan. So tiers, it feels almost like tiers don't exist there, dude. Like as long as you're just playing good on that particular day, you're gonna get the win.
Yeah, I think it's particularly interesting that in their local results, we see a lot of like Abadango getting 13th or 17th or 5th. But then he comes here and he's typically one of the best performing Japanese players. And then, of course, Ken does well in both countries. He's ranked first in Japan. But it really shows that the Japanese PR and Japanese results haven't correlated so well necessarily. And also Choco being second on the Japanese PR, we never see him come to the States. So I feel like it's been a huge question mark in Smash 4, especially given their character choices, like you said. So it was very interesting that at Evo Japan, the results were very similar to what we see at international major tournaments in the US, where it's Nietono, Kameme, Abadango, Ken, players like this doing very well. And of course, the Zero Suit Samuses, they definitely put up a huge showing this weekend and showed that maybe that character is a little bit better than we think over here in the US if the second best Japanese player is using her. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight that strange discrepancy. It's like most Japanese tournaments, Abadango is not winning or doing very well, but here he is in grand finals against Leo at the biggest Japanese tournament. So yeah, very strange stuff. Also, Jigglypuff has a win on JJ Rockets now, which I think is crazy. JJ is an extremely good player, and Jigglypuff, that's one of the characters that you were saying, when you were saying they play characters that we don't consider high tier. I mean, we all think Jigglypuff is the worst character in the game. Like, I've kind of low key thought that she's not for a long time, that she might have some stuff. She definitely like can do things and has that surprise factor. So I think that might be like the start of some Jigglypuff exposure in Smash 4. I mean, we have to keep in mind, like, the game's only 3.5 years old. You cannot master 58 characters in 3.5 years. It's impossible. Nobody has done it yet. And like a lot of the people playing low tiers are kind of like newcomers to the competitive side of things. Because, you look at people like Zero, Nairo, DeBuzz, they're all going straight to the top tier characters. They know how to win. They know the formula. But newer players, they start off maybe like, oh, I like Jigglypuff. And then all of a sudden they're a tournament fiend, but they keep going Jigglypuff. And, they could really craft that character's meta out as they improve as players, which, as, old heads ourselves, we should know that takes a long time. So, maybe there's some god who plays, like, I mean, look at T, right? Like, where was he in Brawl? But he's taking Link to new heights that we've never seen before. So Japanese Smash 4 has always been ridiculously interesting to me. This event just, I think it raised more questions than it answered in terms of what the hell goes on in their brackets. But I really want to keep seeing more of them. I hope we get more of this North America and Japan crossover play. I'd also like to see more of other Asian countries. I heard there were Philippine players there. People from Samoa, I think, even came, and Guam. Like, I could be wrong on the Samoa, but I definitely know Guam and the Philippines sent players. Like, that's crazy, man. I want to see like all these hidden bosses. I know China has a small scene itself. I think their best player was Mega Man last I saw. And I think there's like a DDD somewhere high up in the ranks. I mean, there's just so many question marks. We only have so much of the map discovered. I feel like it's like the ocean, right? Yeah. We've only discovered so much of the Sea of Sharks in Smash 4. So I'm really excited for more international stuff. I feel like that's the trajectory that the series in general is headed toward. I mean, even in Smash 64, we're seeing like Peruvian god tier players come out that we didn't, like Alvin. And then there's the other one. What's his name, Joe?
Gerson.
Yeah, Gerson. Yeah, I can't wait to see him. Yeah, so I don't know, man. There's deep talent pools in countries that you literally wouldn't even think of, right? Like, you think the U.S., Japan, like Mexico's making huge strides. Canada was put on the map by Ally and now Mistake. So international competition, I think, is really like the next frontier of the Smash community, and I'm really stoked for it. So I guess, Joe. I'm sorry.
As far as like hurdles that some of these Asian international countries have to deal with, like Korea, they don't even like sell Wii U's there, so it's hard to actually like foster the growth of that. Like, you'd have to basically import one in order to like have a Wii U. So us, here in the States, like, we can easily just go to a store and buy one. Whereas, in Korea, somebody would probably have to like go online, maybe pay like an exorbitant fee to try to get one from a different country or something like that. So those are some of the roadblocks that some of these countries may have, like if they actually don't sell Wii U's there. Like, I don't even think, with all the piracy that happens in China, I'm not sure if they actually sell them there too. I need clarification for that.
Yeah, I don't know how the Chinese power rank players got their stuff, because I'm pretty sure that, it's not something that's available for them. And it's funny that you mentioned Korea too. We actually just saw their #1 player for Smash 4, Tanark. He moved over to Massachusetts for college. So now he's like PR'd over there, and he's starting to make, his breakthrough into the US scene. I guess, that's something I totally overlooked when I was just saying that. Like, we definitely take it for granted. Like, the, open consumerism that we have here in the US is like a big part of why we're one of those countries that you think of when you think of the Smash scene. So that's a really good observation. But yeah, Joe, I guess if you want to take us into like the upcoming future for the Smash scene, now that we've covered Evo Japan and Genesis, like, what's on the horizon?
So I'd say the two biggest tournaments coming up. So we got Tokagi Invitational and then Frostbite next weekend. Now, I'm personally really excited for Frostbite, just because since it's not so top heavy, I think like the floodgates are wide open right now. I have no idea who's going to take home that tournament. And, historically, it's always been a really well-run, highly praised event. So I'm glad that they've hit the numbers that they've hit. I think they have something like, 850 people signed up. And it's just a Smash 4 event. So that speaks, such like just to the fact of, Smash 4 is not dead. The game's not going anywhere. If anything, it's thriving right now. The fact that they could pull off, an exclusive Smash 4 event and get the numbers that they've gotten so far, like, kudos to their team. Like, all those guys out in the Midwest, like they just deserve a huge pat on the back because, as we talked about, like this is historically like a very dry season for Smash, and they're like single-handedly just putting February on their backs right now. So yeah, just nothing but praise to send out to their team.
Seriously, 851 attendees. Like that's, I think they're in one of the top 15 of the events for Smash 4 that in terms of attendance, like that's like really high.
Yeah, I think they might have even cracked into the top 10 or very near it. I saw a FaceUp that was like live updating, like, oh, we might be like the 13th biggest one now if like a couple more people sign up. It was hype, man. I love seeing that kind of passion from a TO. Like you could tell that man is 100% behind his product. We've also got EGLX and Full Bloom coming up and Melee. So that's something to look forward to as well. I believe I'll be hitting up EGLX myself and possibly Full Bloom and Frostbite. It's all kind of a question mark. But yeah, it's a relatively quiet upcoming few months. Joe, as you said, like it's not typically the most poppin' season for Smash in the early winter, or rather the early part of the year as winter concludes. But, you know, then spring and summer always bring the good stuff. So we have that to look forward to. So yeah, I mean, guys, like I can't reiterate enough like what Joe said about Smash 4 not dying. Yeah, look at that, like 850 people at a Smash 4 only tournament. Like, make no mistake, that is a healthy, thriving game. 3.5 years in, a couple people I've heard say like, "Oh, the game's getting old, bro." Melee is on its 17th year and it's so alive and booming. Like, there's no reason that we can't rally behind our game and like, you know, make that happen too. So yeah, big ups to everyone who's still like, you know, believing in the Smash 4 scene and like going out to tournaments, because that's literally how you make sure a game stays healthy. Like, just literally go to the tournaments. Like, who cares what they say on Twitter? And to look forward to things on the CSL side, this weekend marks the beginning of our regionals run. We've got 8 regional tournaments that the players from local qualifiers have all worked their way into, in terms of crews at least. And then there's open singles brackets for any collegiate players, like full-time, part-time, community college, grad student, doesn't matter. You can come, you can compete. And there's a $200 pot bonus for singles for both games, Melee and Smash 4, at each of these 8 events. The one this weekend is going to be in Philadelphia. It's for Mid-Atlantic, so Tri-State versus Maryland, Virginia, DC. That's favored to go to Stony Brook University from Long Island for Smash 4. They've got DeBuzz on their team. I mean, he's the best player in Staten Island right now. He plays Meta Knight. It's pretty nasty. Those two absolutely tore it up at locals. We've covered some of their success before if you want to check that out on the CSL channel. And then for Melee, Virginia Tech is looking to sweep the competition. They've got Zane, one of the best players in Melee right now, and also a quickly rising star. He's been another player whose success we've tracked through CSL articles and videos and stuff. So we've definitely got our eye on him and their respective teams as well. So yeah, guys, I mean, if you're a college student and you're near Philadelphia, even remotely so, come on out. There's $200 on the line, plus whatever we collect in entry fees from the players that enter. So there's a good chance to make some cash, get your name on the map as one of the best college students out there. And D and Joe, I mean, if you guys want to drop some closing thoughts, it's all you.
Hopefully see you at Frostbite, man. That's where I'm at, bro. Yep.
Yeah, let's go.
Word. To take down a little bit more on Evo Japan, I just wanted to give a big thank you to those guys for having Smash there, because there were so many different games that were there, and I wasn't exactly sure if Smash was going to get any representation, but the fact that they let the community come out, you know, that was really dope. And on top of that, like, I remember I was sleeping and Chris Seg literally shot me a phone call like, hey man, you trying to do commentary for Smash 4 at Evo Japan? And I was like, what the heck? So yeah, like I immediately just like said, of course, yes, I'm already there. So it was really cool that they reached out to people, of course, from the scene. They had myself and DC do commentary there. They also had us do ARMS too and other games. So it was really, but what really made me happy was they trusted me with the opportunity to cast other games outside of Smash. Like that entire weekend for Friday and Saturday, I got to actually cover other fighting games, and people were really shocked to see the knowledge that I had when it came to those games in terms of like character specific knowledge, player history, and even frame data. You know, like that all that stuff. You know, even like engines of all these random games. They were shocked to see that I was a big fighting game enthusiast, and I think it looked good also for the Smash scene, since there's this like, there are people out there that think us as Smashers only like Smash and don't dabble in other games. But like Max, you played Marvel, like, you know what I'm saying? So we definitely like other games, and I thought it was really cool on Evo Japan's part to give us that opportunity, and for Chris Egg's team 10-0 to give me that opportunity to cast with other members of the fighting game scene, because essentially what we did was that we were able to pull in fans from many different many different sub communities in the fighting game community together, which could further unite the fighting game community. So I thought that was a really good endeavor on his part. Like he probably I'm not sure if he realized it, but that was definitely a smart way to try to bring all the fans together of different fighting games so that we can be more open to supporting each other's scenes and furthering the growth of each other's scenes too.
Yeah, there's so much crossover appeal. And plus, I mean, I think Joe and I know better than anyone how high your fighting game IQ is, man. Naruto, Soul Calibur, Marvel, whatever. Like,
soon Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Fighter Z before Namco finds me.
Oh yeah, we should definitely talk about that, by the way. Joe, I mean, if you want to include that in your closing thoughts, like you've been doing some stuff for that game already, so go for it.
I mean, the game is absolute fire. I'm absolute trash at it, but I'm excited to get better. And Cooler apparently is leaked DLC, so we'll see how that pans out. But yeah, I think that game has a very bright future ahead of it, and everyone around me is just as hype. I can't wait, man. See my Beerus in a couple months. That's all I gotta say.
Yo, that's what I'm saying, man. I'm
all right, guys.
Leaving the lab too soon too.
Well, look out for these boys in Dragon Ball Z. I don't know if I'll be playing that game, but it's starting to call my name. I was definitely a Marvel 3 fiend, and Marvel Infinite's just kind of on the back burner right now. So, it's kind of hard to say no at this point. I'm also, definitely trying to expand my own repertoire as like a caster and player of multiple esports and even in different genres if the opportunity arises. And I mean, who knows, man? Esports is awesome. That's all I got to say. So, guys, thanks for joining us. This has been episode 10 of Smash Course. D1, it was a blast having you. Yeah, we'll be back next week with HBox and another guest. We're going to be shifting guests around every week on the show now, get some more variety in there. And yeah, we're going to be continuing the show on a weekly basis. So thank you guys for joining us. And thanks for watching. Make sure to share it out and check out CSL. We've got all kinds of cool stuff for college gamers in all kinds of different games. We've got Smash, League, Dota, everything. So thanks for watching. See you guys.
Peace.